Hey friends, welcome back to Maximo TV. I'm Ryland Adams, and tonight we are hanging out at the DGA for the premiere of For Bliss. Now we're talking to some of your favorite celebs, so check it out.
This is a great story, and it's really well told. Claudia did a fantastic job. Michelle's amazing in it, and it's kind of really a story about a modern day mom, you know, and how do you balance your family obligations with your work obligations.
And your relationship between the two of you and Michelle, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
More focuses on her and your son.
You know, I'm her ex-husband at that point, so really the only kind of relationship that we still have is trying to raise a child together, which is, you know, that's a pretty big obligation, you know?
Of course, but did your relationship also end because of her work, as her problems with her son are?
Yeah, you know, you don't really get into that. I think, I think it could easily have been because he was a pain in the ass, you know? It's just one of those things where you encounter two people after they've broken up, and you can maybe piece it together, but who's to say, really, you know? But kind of at its heart, it's this dynamic that I think we all understand about work pressures versus home pressures. And it just so happens that her work pressures are, you know, taking a tour for 15 months and trying to stitch people back together, you know? So it sort of amplifies it a little bit.
It's not often that you read something as timely and relevant as this, and in particular, a story about female vets. You know, those stories are nearly absent from our culture, and to read a role that is so complicated and complex and has substance and depth, and a person who is flawed, and those are all things creatively that I can sink my teeth into, and then in addition to that, it's something that's timely and relevant, and that's the icing on the cake for me. I think any person can appreciate who's a parent and who is great at their job and passionate about their job, the struggle in which it is to find balance in one's life. And certainly this is an extreme case where one leaves for up to 15 months and with the risk that is attached that you may not return home. Certainly I don't live that in my own life, but you can appreciate the struggle that people have in trying to parent long distance and then having to come home and reconnect. And you know, a lot of our military are coming home emotionally suppressed, and they can't just flip a switch like that, so they're really struggling. And I think that this film really sheds light on folks and really the family sacrifice and the cost of war for not only children but extended family and the whole entire support system that is involved when one leaves and is deployed for such a long time.
I'm the other woman. Michelle's character, you know, goes and goes to Iraq, comes back, and her son is a little bit estranged from her because she left him when he was so young, and he's very close to me. So I'm totally awkward in the middle of like, oh my God, not my son, this is her son. I'm now dating her ex, is my current fiance.
Bad girl.
It gets a little pickly, yeah.
People ask me where do I pull from a lot of the time, and you know, a lot of the time I just try to imagine. I use my imagination, put myself in that position of what it would be like. Because I don't know what it would be like to be away, having bombs go off next to me and people shooting at me. You can get really close in the movies, but it's fake. So I just, you know, I try to put myself in their shoes.
One of the things that was really interesting to me about this film is that you get to see it from a female's perspective, right? You always see it from a male's perspective, how sort of the male and child relationship dynamic works when a male is deployed. And it was the first time that I got to see it from a female's perspective. And you know, my character is a guy who's just trying to do his job, right? He's trying to do his job, but at the same time is a human being.
I feel this is this generation's movie, and I hope there's more of this perspective, you know, of what's going on with our country, with our world, and the people in our country, and the rest of the world. There's I think, a lesson that is sometimes easy to find, easier somehow, when you see people portraying how they are dealing with the challenges. They are personally unable to change their lives or change the situation. How do you accept that and go through it?
We both really felt like the story that we're telling was an aspect of what soldiers go through that hadn't been covered really in the media or in mainstream film.
I hope it raises awareness. I mean, as a civilian, I made the film because I felt like I didn't know that there was this whole other side of the war. I didn't understand that there was this whole other level of sacrifice as a mom or a dad leaving your kid for 15 months. And I think on another level, I hope it provokes questions in people's minds about, you know, how do you balance career and family for anybody who's a working parent? And I hope it raises questions. I don't think I'm trying to answer them.